A little girl was born with a strange birthmark that only affects 1 in every 20,000 babies. Her mother was worried that she had done something wrong and had no idea what the birthmark meant for her daughter. What she did know was that she wanted it removed. Celine Casey, mother to Vienna Brookshaw, has shared the little girl's incredible story. Casey and Brookshaw, who live in the United Kingdom, began their journey in April 2021 when Brookshaw was born. When doctors placed Brookshaw on Casey's chest, Casey was immediately worried that she had done something wrong during her pregnancy, resulting in her daughter developing a pronounced birthmark between her eyebrows. Although the birthmark meant nothing for Brookshaw's physical health, Casey knew the toll it might take on her mental health as she got older and encountered other children who would be curious about her condition. Brookshaw was one of 20,000 babies born with congenital melanocytic nevis, CMN. The condition means that Brookshaw was born with a cluster of benign pigment cells between her eyebrows that would have grown as she grew. The condition is rare, and there was no way to tell how much Brookshaw's birthmark may have grown as she got older. However, her mother knew she didn't want her daughter to deal with that. Casey asked doctors to remove the birthmark as soon as possible so she wouldn't grow up feeling different from all her peers. Casey also worried that if she didn't remove the birthmark, her daughter would resent her and her partner. Casey shared, "We love seeing her grow on her journey, and we can't wait for the day that she does grow up and can speak for herself so we can hear her opinion. We'd love her no matter what, even if we did keep the birthmark." Although Casey wanted to remove the birthmark with only the best intentions, it was not easy for her. She even had to start a crowdfunding page so she could pay for her daughter's surgery after being denied by the NHS. When Brookshaw was only an infant, Casey and her partner noticed that people were already staring at her and treating her differently from other babies, so they hid her face and knew they had to remove the birthmark as soon as possible. However, they were denied when the parents requested help from the NHS. The NHS will reportedly not pay for any surgery that is not essential for physical health. Brookshaw's surgery might have been considered cosmetic and not crucial. After learning they would not receive help from the NHS, Casey and her partner set up a GoFundMe page to raise the money they needed for their daughter's surgery. They explained her situation and set a donation goal. In 24 hours, the parents had raised $52,000. However, the couple was hit with another blow when they learned that since the COVID-19 pandemic, hospital costs had skyrocketed, and they needed another $27,000. They again used GoFundMe and raised all the money they needed for Brookshaw's birthmark removal surgery. Casey shared, "Everybody has things they're insecure about on their body, and the doctor said he'd respect that. But with Vienna, it wasn't going to affect her mental health right now. But we didn't see it as that. She's going to start school when she's 3. And younger kids are so smart. They point out stuff like that. Now Brookshaw is 2, and doctors have entirely removed her birthmark, leaving her with only a tiny scar between her eyebrows." Casey often shares updates about little Shaw's scar and healing process on her social media, with followers telling Casey how gorgeous her little girl is. Casey shared that, although her birthmark had been removed, they still needed to travel to London so Brookshaw's surgeon could assess how well her scar was healing and if she would need any further surgeries than the 3 she already had. Shaw is now living like a typical 2-year-old. While little Brookshaw's birthmark affected only a small area of her body, another little girl experienced birthmarks that covered 80% of her body. Beatriz Pugliese, a woman from São Paulo, Brazil, has a nevus birthmark that covers 80% of her body. Pugliese's skin condition is very rare and affects 1 in 500,000 people. Pugliese works as a lab assistant, but was referred to Hospital das Clínicas, where she has undergone 30 surgeries. She had her first medical procedure at 6 months, but more birthmarks appeared as she got older. The 25-year-old explained that some of her birthmarks needed to be removed because they were too big, and exposure to the sun would have been dangerous for her. Since Pugliese has most of her body covered, doctors focused on areas that needed attention, like her arms and legs. Her mother remembered the day she gave birth to Pugliese and how concerned the doctor looked. Before being told how her daughter looked, she already sensed something was wrong. It was difficult for a mother to see her baby undergoing one surgery after the other. Pugliese had 2 surgeries a year, and for most of her childhood, she had her legs bandaged because of the removed skin grafts from her legs and her calf to cover her birthmarks. But the recovery time was a long and excruciating 3 months. She said she would spend the whole time in bed because it was too painful to walk or move. But one thing Pugliese never forgets to apply is her sunscreen. However, life for Pugliese was not easy growing up. Her skin condition subjected her to vile remarks from school children and uncomfortable stares from strangers. Beatrice Pugliese was bullied for her skin. There was one incident that affected Pugliese growing up. She remembered a boy from her school told everyone that her skin looked like a monkey. What hurt the most for her was that it was said to her face, and the encounter became something that stuck with her for a long time. Pugliese continued to express, "Some would call me Dalmatian because of how my birthmark is, and then they would all laugh at me." Even though many people said mean things to her, she had friends who loved her and did not make her feel abnormal. She tried not to let the comments affect her, but some days were harder than others. Sometimes she wondered how her life would have been if she did not have her spots, and how much of a different person she would have turned out to be. However, Pugliese realized that her skin played an important role in protecting the most important organs, which inspired her to start appreciating herself. Beatrice Pugliese's life now with her husband. Part of her self-acceptance journey was the decision to stop undergoing treatments or surgeries on her skin. Pugliese loves her body just the way it is. Aside from loving herself, Pugliese knows her family loves her. Her parents never made her feel different or even gave her special treatment because of her skin condition. The lab assistant might have grown up being teased, but someone else who saw her beyond her birthmarks was her husband, Philip. The couple met at a World Cup soccer match when she was 19. Pugliese was calling out someone, and Philip turned around. Just like that. The two got into a long, heated conversation that led to their beautiful connection and, now, marriage. To Philip, Pugliese's birthmarks are the most beautiful thing about her. He even said he once told his wife that if it were not for her birthmarks, he probably would not have gotten into that lengthy discussion or even been attracted to her. Philip loves his wife and even has a few of his favorite birthmarks, with one specific one he named Birthmark of the Queens. Her husband is not the only one who thinks she is beautiful. Several YouTube users could also not stop praising Pugliese. One netizen said she looked so beautiful that her skin looked like natural tattoos. Pugliese would love for everyone to be happy in all aspects of their lives, specifically, the differences that make us all unique.